I stand before you today as a proud American who spent the first 20 years of my life in Romania, living under communism and a socialist regime. I'm only going to take a few minutes to speak because I know we are all waiting to hear from other proud Americans, so I'll get right to my point. Eternal vigilance is the price of liberty. We all know very well the words of Thomas Jefferson. The United States is the greatest country on earth, but we are at a crossroads, and unless you take action, the distinct greatness of this country will become a bedtime story you will tell your children some years down the road. I have seen how big government can destroy a country and make people suffer in poverty. And now I see how the far liberal left works overtime to take the United States down the same path. One of my brother's friends who lives in Romania became afflicted with leukemia, for which he needed to seek treatment abroad because in Romania's government-run healthcare, they do not treat leukemia because it doesn't make sense in terms of cost. To go abroad for treatment, he needed a signed document from one of the government offices. However, while dealing with the endless bureaucratic red tape, he succumbed to the illness and died. When the government is in charge of healthcare, they determine what a fair amount of pay is for doctors and nurses. In my former country of Romania, doctors make on average $550 a month. Because their income is not sufficient to provide for their families, they in turn expect the sick to pay them bribes based on the seriousness of their illness, or they won't administer treatment. So you hear of people who go to the emergency room and no doctor and no nurse would touch them until they pay a bribe. You hear of people who go to the emergency room with a heart attack and they die because the doctors look at them and they think they are too old or too poor to afford to pay a bribe. It sickens me to think that with today's marvels of medicine, we have government-run healthcare systems around the world that take the authority to decide if someone lives or dies. Is this where American exceptionalism is headed? A country where you have to bribe doctors to get medical attention? A country where you have to pay bribes so your children can get a job? A country where a handful of government bureaucrats decide what food you can have on the table, what light bulbs you can burn in your house, what cars you can drive on your roads? I came to the United States, a little bit windy today. I came to the United States when I was 20 years old. I left my family and my friends behind, got on an airplane with just the clothes on my back and the only valuables I owned, a suitcase full of books. 24 hours later, I arrived in the land of opportunity. Many people, when they hear my story, ask me if I was afraid. I was not. I took a big risk coming to this country on my own, but I didn't see it. For one, you don't fear much when you're 20. But for the most part, this was my only chance for a better life, and I had to take it. In recent years, you've heard radical politicians wanting to fundamentally change this country. Let me ask you this. How is that change working out for you? It's important Not only that you vote in federal elections, but in each and every local election as well, because socialism starts creeping in at the local level. The future of this country is in your hands. You have to become liberty watchdogs. Otherwise, you won't fulfill Ronald Reagan's vision of a shining city upon a hill. Thank you so much. God bless America.